Yo guys, last night I was working on the next version of my plugin and I want to show you guys how precise I get this testing because I want to show you a new workflow whenever you're trying to improve anything. Okay, so let's hop into FL Studio. So as you guys know, I've been working on a plugin called BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering and we're on version 5 right now and I'm testing version 6 and I really want to make sure there's a difference. So let me just show you guys my methodology here. First, what I've done is I've multiplied a song 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Now these 6 versions are going to 6 different mixer channels. Each mixer channel has a different version of my plugin. So here's the BusyWorks Mastering 6. Here's the BusyWorks AI Mastering 5. Here's the BusyWorks AI Mastering 4. Okay, so I'm testing all the versions. So it's 6, 5, 4, 3, and then version 2. And what we're going to do in this case is what I'm trying to do is beat the control. So the first thing I've done is perfectly matched version 5 to version 6 output. But even though they can do the same thing does not mean they are the same. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take off this blind test plugin because that will force solos. So let's turn those off. Let's mute all these other channels. And basically, if these are perfectly matched, meaning version 6 and version 5, okay, I should be able to flip the polarity using this button, the reverse polarity button. And they should cancel out. So here's with both of them triggering. Now what happens if I flip the polarity here? We shouldn't hear anything. So it's pretty close. There's a couple transients that don't match. Okay, but there's a cancellation. So that is my control. This is the starting point. Okay, this is what I'm testing against. So basically I've duplicated version 6 over to another channel because if I'm truly improving the software, I should be able to flick between version 6 that was matched with version 5 and then version 6, the experimental settings, and it should sound better in a blind test. Okay, so now let's activate what's called this blind test plugin. Now the blind test plugin's job is to shuffle the results so I don't know what from what. So here we can solo different versions of this song. So here's version 6. I want you guys to hear version 2, just so you know there's a difference from all the versions. Here's version 2. Very, let me fix something here, hold on. Sorry, I forgot to turn on the plugins on the other channel. So here's version 2. Very sharp transient, it was very reactive to transients because we didn't have the multi-layered limiter approach and the clipper approach back then. Let me turn up the output so you guys can hear it. So here's version 2. So I guess what I'm trying to show you guys is these are not all the same. Okay, when I switch versions, I'm serious about the quality. If it doesn't sound different, then I'm not releasing it. So here's version 2. Here's version 3. Now version 3 sounded great, but if you listen closely, there's a tiny distortion when the bass gets up to a certain level. It goes, there's like a little flutter distortion. So I had to fix the engine under the hood. And version 4's job was to clean that up, but also be different. So here's version 3. I want you guys to listen to the perceived width from version 3 to version 4. Here's version 3. So version 4 is where we had that breakthrough of quality because now I was getting the stereo image that I wanted. I was referencing some of my favorites. Like for example, you guys know I used to use hardware gear using a software called Access Analog. I would pay $140 a month just to access some analog gear. And a lot of the times the gear wasn't available. So it was a little bit frustrating, to be honest. And I would use those plugins to master my songs because of the way the plugin works. So basically my DAW audio was sent over to another company's studio, run through their studio, and then back into my DAW. And one of my favorite online mastering services that was recommended by industry producers was called ARIA Mastering. And that was my reference. That was my benchmark. And I said, if I can get better than that, then I'm onto something. We did a blind test in a different video. I'm not going to do it here, but we did a blind test between all the online mastering and AI mastering services. And the results are actually shocking. Okay. So once I cracked the code at version 4 and getting the stereo image I wanted, that's when I started creating what's called iterations. What I want you guys to listen for now between version 4 and 5 is the dimensionality, because this is where I'm starting to chisel. It's like Michelangelo. He has the statue, but he can get in there and chisel it even, more precisely. And so that's what I'm doing now, is just chiseling the final details until we get to the master the mastering plugin. So here's version 4.
Running, 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 running. All my cars keep on running, running.
So I want you guys to feel the difference in dimensionality and clarity. Okay, so listen for those things here. Version 4. Now again, let's start at version 3 so you guys can hear the evolution. Version 3 was loud.
Running, running.
Sounded good, but it just had some errors in there.
Running, 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 running. All my cars keep on.
Now let's do version 4 where we introduce that stereo width.
Running, running, running. And my bra keep on running, 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 running.
Now let's do version 5 where we introduce clarity.
Running, running.
Here's version 4.
Running, running, running. All my cars keep on running.
Here's version 5 is smooth.
Running, running, running. And my bra keep on running.
So I wasn't focused on just loudness and stereo spread. I said, how do I make it extremely clear? That's what version 5 was all about, is this pristine clarity. And from version 5, we went up to version 6. Again, these are preset match, so they shouldn't sound any different. Again, we already tested that by flipping the polarity, so there's nothing different between this label 6. But what I'm doing in version 6B, so I'm measuring against the control is my point. And version 5 and 6 are preset matched. So I know, so basically my control is version 6 here.
Running, 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 running.
So let me reorder these. So when I'm experimenting, I always create what's called a control, a beginning state that has to match the old state so that I know the actual change, there's a difference in the actual result. So that's why I've preset matched version 5 to version 6. But there are new features in version 6, okay, to introduce. Now I'm focusing on not just clarity, but loudness. Like, how do you push a song louder and it still be perceived as loud without losing some of the dimensionality? So that's my next frontier, is the loudness factor. So again, from version 2,
Running, running, running.
okay, we were lacking density, so version 3 had that density.
Running, 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 running. All my cars keep on running.
And then version 4 had width to it, more of the width that I was used to from analog gear.
Running, 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 running. All my cars.
But I still felt like it could be clear. So then version 5 was trying to chase the clarity out of version 4.
Running, 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 running. All my cars keep on.
So now we get this super clean wide image, okay, that still has punch and it still feels like the song. Now version 6 is, how do we push this image? There may be a sacrifice in some clarity, but that's what I'm trying to avoid, is how do you push this even further for the people who really want to get stuff extremely loud? And this is the final frontier, is this loudness. So what I'm trying to say is that this thing is evolving with different aspects as it evolves. So version 6, again, this is going to match version 5. There's no difference here in terms of the preset setting, but there is a difference in the sound engine. There's a new section. Okay, so in version 6B, this should beat out version 6 and 5 if I'm doing this properly. So what I'll do is I'll go to version 6B, my experimental version. I'll change something about it. So that main thing is called the mid focus. The mid focus is where we add this perceived push. Okay, I'll just call it push because it's a little more convoluted than that, but it's like when people just want to keep slamming into it. It's almost like Fruity Soft Clipper, how we've just come to just slam everything into it further and further and further until we came up with underground beats. So the same thing here. Without distorting the track, how do you keep pushing and pushing and pushing, but it feel different and louder without, again, losing that dimensionality, the clarity, and just without just squaring off everything. Okay, so this is what this section is all about. So this is the main section that's different than version 5. Okay, and there's there's a new knob here for dynamics, and we're introducing just different formulas for these knobs here in the front, so that they work with the back end a little bit differently. Also, something I'm testing here is when you hit the AI master, it doesn't just turn up the loudness like it used to, it will mess with all the parameters. Okay, so there are fundamental differences aside from just this one section here, but I have to simplify it to you guys. So basically, all that being said, now that we've set up what's called a control, I have to measure against the control. And I'm not just gonna do this like knowingly, I'm gonna actually do a blind test. Okay, so we're gonna hit start. So I don't know which track is which. I have no idea. We're going to get rid of the mixer, so I can't even tell what's what.
Running.
And now I'm just going to go by ear and say which one sounds better. And this is how you truly test if your plugin or your product is better.
Running, running.
You could do the same thing as sound design. Like if you're designing a kick, copy all your kicks out, track them out to different channels, run this plugin. It's free on each channel, and just blind test which kick sounds the best, and just use your ear. Don't look at the meters and all that. You have to use your ear for this type of stuff.
Run it, run it, run it, run it.
So first, let me find the transient heavy version 2.
Run it, run it, run it, run it.
So here's version 2. It's very obvious it's version 2. This is very jumpy because it's very transient focused.
Run it, run it, run it.
Now let's listen for the distortion in version 3.
Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. All my cars keep on running, 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 running. And my bra keep on running, 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 running. All my dog keep on running, 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 running.
See, it's different when you don't know which one is which. So now it's almost hard for my ear to detect version 3. So now I really have to listen for that error and distortion on version 3.
Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. All my cars keep on running, 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 running. And my bra keep on running, 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 running. All my dog keep on running, 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 running. All my cars keep on running, 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 running.
Okay, I think this is version 3. I hear a little click on the
Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. Oh my God.
there's like a little crunch. It goes like that. So that was a little more difficult than I even expected. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. That's how I'm testing this. This has to truly feel different. If it doesn't feel different, then I'm not, releasing the next version. And when I release the next version, it feels different. There's a reason why we're on version 6 or working on version 6 right now. You guys have access to version 5, which is very good. It's very clean, very wide, very big of a sound. I'm trying to push version 6 to allow people to go louder, because the one thing I noticed about the top tools in the world, we're talking Lander, Isotope, Aria mastering, BandLab mastering, E-mastered, and what else did we test? Waves mastering, is that they just focus only on loudness, in my opinion. It's just like loud, but nothing else, loud, nothing else, or brightness. And so I said, okay, I'm not going to strip what people may want away just for clarity. What I'm going to do is allow them to have the brightness and the loudness, but still retain the clarity in the dimension. That's the difference between our plugin and the top other plugins. So now when you pit our thing against another thing, it's not just a loudness thing, it's an actual quality difference. So that's what we're focusing on now in version 6. Okay, so let's go back here. So now we know what version 3 is. Let's see if we can feel the stereo width of version 4. Remember, version 4 wasn't as clear. It was a little more messy in the middle, we'll say.
Run it, run it, run it, run it.
To my ear, this sounds like version 4.
My cars keep on running.
It's nice and wide and big, but it just sounds a little ambiguous and smeary in between the left and the right and the center.
Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. All my cars keep on running, 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 running.
This sounds like version 5, very polished, very clean.
Run it, run it.
And then I just have to figure out which ones sound the same. So I'm not going to technically know which one is version 5 and version 6 because they are matched. So I shouldn't tell a difference.
Run it, run it, run it.
So these sound the same. So I'm just guessing which one is actual 5 and 6. So now we know for sure this top one is the new version. Now there should be a difference, a sonic difference. So the way I listen to these is I cycle very fast. I found that when you cycle slow for very subtle nuances, it's harder to hear because your ear just gets used to that change. But when you cycle fast, you can hear there's a change, almost like when you add a transgate, it goes beat, right, beat. You can hear the change happening very fast. But if I go it's like you can't really hear unless it's super obvious.
Run it.
So now I'm going to cycle very fast and just ask myself, do I feel an energetic difference? Because at this point in time, the plugin is so good, to beat it is nearly impossible. So I'm trying to basically have the benchmark so high, the bar so high, okay, that I can barely tell, okay, there shouldn't be any dramatic differences at this point if I'm truly building the best product I can. So now I'm going to jump between these two.
Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. All my cars keep on running, 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 running. And my bra keep on.
This just has a little more upper mid lift. It's very hard to hear. Okay, and that's why this is such a you have to feel it type of practice. Now let's see if I'm correct. We're going to show the tracks, and my ear can sense the difference. Okay, so I was right. There's a little upper mid lift, and that small little amount, okay, adds a little more loudness. Okay, so now we're at a point where loudness is almost microscopic. So the changes we're making are microscopic, but they will stack up over time. And that's where we're at with version 6. So we're basically, this is showing me that we are almost at the, I'll say perfect product, even though I'm always going to improve this product. We're almost at the perfect sonics, I'll say. Now, is that always, can we take a terrible song and make it sound good? Not necessarily. This song already sounded good. So, but we can pull out the greatest things about that song. And we do have a cleanup section for those who want to use this. This was initially built for AI music, AI vocals specifically, to clean up the harshness and the brittleness of it. It wasn't built to just, like, if you have a song that has this in it, like some low frequency you don't even know is in the song, it's not built to just magically just turn that off. There's certain DNA in your song that is not going to change based on this plugin. This plugin is basically like putting on your best suit, getting your best clothes together to go to a ball. That's what this plugin is. It's not anything else other than that. Okay, so what I'm doing is making sure that all the parameters are the same between version 6 and 6B. The only difference here is I'm testing one variable. Okay, and this is the important thing when testing: only test one variable at a time. And then I say, okay, I think this is a better version of what I just heard. So now I'm going to create a new deviation from this specific point, and this becomes the new control. To make what I said simpler, we measured against version 5 and 6. And I said, does the new variable, the new thing that I'm testing, does it sound better than version 6? The answer is yes. So now that became a yes, this is my new benchmark. So now I'm measuring against this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do is basically just duplicate this over. And what I have to do is make sure all the settings are exactly the same. So let's mark this as version C. So now I know it's the third iteration of the BusyWorks Beats AI Mastering 6. So now what I need to do is a quality check. So I'm going to go into here. This is a little bit boring, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm just kind of sum up this part up. So basically I'm looking at every single knob and making sure they each have the same exact values. Okay, so I'm just quickly doing a check, and I'm going to do this, and I'll pause the video so you guys don't have to watch me do this, but that's basically what I'm doing, making sure all these numbers match. The quicker test to do this is simply just mute everything and turn off the Hoffa plugin for each channel. And then if I phase flip, they should have the same exact result. So we also need to duplicate the track, make it unique, and then route it to this channel. So let's route it to channel 7. So now when I flip the polarity of 6 or 7, it should mute out. I shouldn't hear any difference if they have truly matching settings. Now we do have a transient difference, which shows me there's a phase change somewhere. But that's a lot of volume. So we're going to go in and see which setting could potentially be different. Now, when you deal with analog modeled things, like for example, we've added an analog mode, I think back in version, even the initial version, let me double check to make sure that's correct. Yeah, even our initial version had an analog version. So let's turn that on. I don't know why that was off on version 2. And let's turn that on version 3. All right, and then version 4, make sure that's on. I think it was on by default on version 4, but you had to switch it on in version 2 and 3. So with analog mode comes what's called non-linearity. So non-linearities means it doesn't act the same way each time. That's why you usually hear when people say you can buy an 1176, but when you buy another one, it doesn't have the same exact sound. So that's what we're going for, is a difference technically at the root way that they calculate. So that is a good thing in my opinion. So luckily the difference isn't, whoops. All right, so let's turn this on. Now my question becomes, if we add this in, 1, 2, 3, 4, if we add this in, can we make it sound better than 6B? So let's go to the Hoffa test and let's make sure we have C enabled. Let's pull this up. So this is version 3 and we're testing against version B. So now I have to make some kind of change, and this change could be a settings change. It could be a fundamental change in the engine. It could be just turning up the dynamics. So it could literally be any change. So let's test out, since we already tested out the new feature for the mid focus, let's test out what happens if we switch over to a dynamic mode. Actually, before we do that, let's stick to this, and we're gonna just change the frequency here to more of an upper mid frequency, 900. So instead of the brighter 4000, which our ear is a little more sensitive to, we're gonna try a deeper frequency to see if dimension overrides our need for loudness in this case. So this is more of a psychoacoustic test than it is a technical thing. So now we're just going to ask ourselves, what does our ear prefer? The brightness or the dimension?
Running, 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 running. All my cars keep on running, 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 running. And my bra keep on running, 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 running.
To my ear, I prefer the brighter tone because it makes the track feel like it's lifting up, in my opinion. So at this point in time, you know, I'm testing the new feature and now I'm testing the best settings for the new feature. Okay, so this is a different type of test because now we're trying to find the exact formula that gives people the best overall result.
Running, 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 running. All my cars.
And to my ear, it just, that lift just makes everything feel taller. Okay, instead of just like more dimension, more front to backness, it has more height. I think height tends to have a better effect on our satisfaction with the song than just the depth of dimension. Okay, that's just my opinion. So this is where my taste and my judgment comes into play. So I'm gonna say, okay, that test shows me that that did not beat the new control. So I'm gonna try something different. So now I'm gonna set it back to where it was, which is, I believe it was at 4K if I'm not mistaken. Let me, I can't even type 4K, 4, 1, 2, 3. Boom, so let me just double check to make sure that was the right value. Boom, 4K. And now we're going to test something else. So now I'm going to test the new dynamic mode and see, does our brain like movement, additional movement on top of the movement that already exists in the song? Or does it prefer the existing characteristics of a song? And then I have to ask, how am I going to set up this dynamics module? So firstly, I'm going to test the way I already have it set up. And then I'm going to ask myself, after we test this, you know, what are the best settings I can have to where nobody can mess this up? Okay, because with this plugin, it's the whole point is so that you could just click a button, it gets your result. People shouldn't have to go in and tweak 1,000 things. That's my job. I should be able to give you guys the best result across all genres. Okay, and we're going to test that later in this video. So now basically I'm going to test my initial thesis, which is a certain ratio of everything moving at a certain time. So let's turn this up.
Running, running, running.
Let's make sure we're actually listening to this. Okay, so we weren't. So let's make sure we're on version C.
Running, running.
And now I'm using my ear to judge dynamics. All right, so again, it's just a feeling thing. You have to use your
running, 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 running. All my cars keep on.
So I think this is an entertaining amount of dynamics. It's a little aggressive, but I like
running, 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 running.
There is a feeling difference, okay? So that's what we're going for, is feeling. Now let's go back to version 6B.
Running, running.
And now we're just gonna ask, does the brain like more dynamic? If it does, how can we dial in the perfect settings?
Running, running, running.
So let's switch to version C.
All my cars keep on running, 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 running. And my bra keep on running.
Now we also have to remember that when we introduce compression, we are also morphing the stereo field. Basically, whenever you have something that's equal on the left and the right, it becomes the center. So when you add compression, you're limiting, I'll say you're making more even the volume on your left and your right. So that stuff collapses to the center. So we are essentially also changing the stereo field by compressing. And that's where we got to be a little careful with this technique.
Running, 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 running. All my cars keep on running, 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 running.
And I'm also asking myself, did we lose the knock of the sound? And one thing I got to be careful with is not to test too many variables at once. So we're just testing the macro right here, okay? Because under the hood, there's a lot of things happening. And if I start tweaking everything, it's going to be hard to know what's actually making it sound better. Now, luckily, we're testing a concept and not a specific parameter. So that is a good thing. So I can technically go into here and adjust this to get the perfect timing. I might even add an auto release for our mastering so that you guys can basically have this. That's a note I'll add right now, actually. So now I know when I iterate on this version of it, I'm going to add that auto release and see if that helps the groove more. If not, then we'll just keep it where it is, because I've used compressors where it's not based on auto release. It's simply just a really good compressor. And so that's why I'm testing my theory from the basics.
Running, running, running.
Now let's just use our ear and go back and forth and truly see what do we like about each. Now there may be trade-offs, so it's not that one is perfect. It's just which one do we prefer more. And if I lean into version C, or the new version, then I know that dynamics are preferred by the listener. And then I'm going to say, okay, if they're preferred, how do we dial in the perfect settings to get it the best? And that's what I'll start testing for. So let's just do that right now.
Running. All my cars keep on running.
Now, one thing I do like is that there's more cohesion in the center. One thing I don't like, however, is it almost like flattens out some of the dynamics to where the kick doesn't feel as punchy. It just feels more smooth. And that's the trade-off I have to judge as, is it really better or is it just doing one thing?
Running. All my cars keep on running. And my bra keep on running.
So I think what I like about it is that it does pull things to the center and it feels more like smooth in the center in a way. Not more clear, but just more smooth. So let's go to the compressor, and now I'm going to adjust these specific parameters to see if I can dial in where I'm trying to hit the target. So basically what makes the control version sound better is it's more dynamic, it's more open, it feels more open because it has more dynamics. That's essentially what it comes down to. Once we add the compressor, it does sound more full, but it lacks that openness because now we're making everything the same volume basically.
Running.
So this is what I'm actually trying to make this plugin not do, is make everything just feel like a block. Okay, I want it to actually have the openness the same way with the BusyWorks Beats EQ3. The reason people liked it is because it just made everything sound dynamic.
Running.
So we're close to where we're trying to go, but it's just a little too aggressive on this mix. So now I'm going to dial back some of the settings and see if we can dial in a better approach here.
Running.
So firstly, what I'm going to do is up the threshold. That's usually the starting point in terms of dynamic.
Running.
So now it's A/B, just me doing that.
Running. All my cars keep on running. And my bra keep on running.
So it's very subtle of a difference.
Running.
But basically, if you listen to the kick drum and the bass, it just has a little more curvature to it. It's so subtle. I'm not sure you guys can hear on YouTube.
Running. All my cars keep on running. And my bra keep on.
But it does add some density that I do find pleasing for this song. Now, what I'm trying to listen for is, are we losing the upwardness, that feeling that the song lifted up? Are we losing that from version B to C?
Running.
So to do this, I have to shift very quickly so the ear can detect the change.
Running. All my cars keep on running. And my bra keep on running. All my dog keep on running.
I feel like we are losing a little bit of that lift. And just to triple, I guess, check my theory, even though we can't really tell by this, what I'm about to do is turn off the blind test from version B and C, and then we're going to flip the polarity to hear just what is it changing, or what is it trying to perceive change. So here's the difference between the signals here. So hear more crunch in that kick. And we can hear those vocals, those vocals kind of like lifting out the speaker. And I'd assume that is from version B, not C, because once we went to C, it compressed and pulled everything to the center. So we're losing some of that side image, I would assume, from this. Now it's hard to tell because, again, it's not perfectly matched because of the way the analog is working there. So let's turn these back on.
Running.
But now I have a better approach to listening. Now I know to listen to the run it more than just the kicks.
Running. All my cars keep on running. And my bra keep on running.
So the battle here is the smoothness of the compressor on version C versus the loudness, I'll say, on version B. And we have to decide, is that a qualitative improvement or is that something that people can add in themselves if they want to? And this is the fine-tuned detail that I have to go through with this development process. It's way more than just adding a concept like a clipper or adding a compressor. Now I have to figure out the best scenario for every single style song that we're trying to master here, including AI music.
Run it, run it, run it.
So I think I said we're going to test.
Run it, run it, run it, run it.
So I will say version C does give more clarity only because we're pulling in that stereo image.
Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. On my
And let's measure this against the initial. So now I'm going to do 6 versus 6.
run it, run it, run it,
C.
run it, run it. On my cars keep on running, running, running.
Now it does feel more open and it does feel more controlled. So I do like that controlled feel. I'd prefer clarity over loudness every single day. However, the improvement for version 6 we're trying to make is on the loudness factor, not just the clarity. So the thing about loudness is we may sacrifice clarity, and that's the tricky part. So there is a trade-off, and I'm deciding where that trade-off occurs right here. So I do like the jump from C6 to version C.
Run it, run it, run it.
It did get better in my opinion.
Run it. On my cars keep on.
So here's version 6,
Run it, run it.
the control.
Run it, run it, run it. On my cars keep on. Run it, run it, run it.
So it sounds noticeably louder because of that compression. All right, so the question now becomes, which version do I like more, B or C? And now what I'm going to do is measure against version 6,
Run it, run it,
because this is just a preference thing.
run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. On my cars keep on. Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. And my dog keep on. Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. On my dog keep on. Run it, run it, run it, run it.
So the conundrum I'll say for this is, now that we have a more controlled image, okay, do I prefer just loudness over control, or do I prefer control over loudness? In this case, I prefer the control, meaning not the controlled version. I prefer a more controlled signal.
Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. On my cars keep on. Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. And my dog keep on. Run it, run it, run it, run it.
So I think C is the best hybrid of variation. So that's how I'm testing this, guys. This is way more than just saying, hey, add a clipper to the plugin and make sure that the clipper has 2 dB. It's just like, that's not how this development process works. So let me show you guys. So I like C6C. Okay, so now we need to test other songs and see if these settings apply to other songs. So here's the last step to my testing, is does this apply to everything? All right, so I'm not gonna bore you guys with me going back and forth with these improvements, but I'm showing you guys, I'm making sure that there is an improvement. So what I'm gonna do is mark 6B as red, and let's even call it, let's rename it so that I know, and we'll just say it failed the test. It didn't fail technically in terms of being better than the control, it just failed compared to C,
Run it, run it,
in my opinion.
run it, run it, run it. On my cars keep on. Run it, run it, run it, run it, run it, run it. And my dog keep on. Run it, run it, run it, run it.
And so I'm probably going to revisit this concept later with other songs, is do we prefer the loudness over the controlled dynamics? And that's something that I have to just use my brain to really ask. Okay, so now let's use this on different songs to make sure that this isn't just for this specific song, this bass heavy type song. So now I'm going to import some songs from my folder here. Now I want to note the songs that work best with our plugins, they have significant headroom because the plugin is using an analog approach. So when you guys are running through the AI mastering, I want you guys to turn stuff down somewhere around 10 dB. 12 dB is probably a sweet spot, but 10 dB will give you exactly what we're looking for most of the time. When you go too heavy into the plugin, people don't know that it works differently. So I may add a thing into the plugin that automatically turns your song down so that you have the headroom needed. I may do that. It just depends. So, because again, we have to think about what if somebody else used this plugin and not just us. Okay. So that's kind of how my brain is working at this point. Now let's try a different song. So I'm going to mute the original Metro Boomin reference. And then now we're gonna run the 6C.
Start your credit already.
And then we're gonna run it. See, as this one doesn't have enough headroom, so we need to turn this down.
Just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for.
So I guess it depends on how loud the song comes in. I might have to create a automatic. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Okay. But yeah, turn your songs down before you go into the mastering. That's what I'm trying to say here.
Just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for. Just to get by. When you maxed out your credit, already hit the limit, and you can't keep spending. Just to get by. Just to get by.
All right, so now let's run this as a duplicate, and we're going to compare this against version 6, which is in channel, let me see here, channel 1. Okay, so let's do that. So now we have one on version 6 and then one on version 6C. So that's all we're hearing between these two. So now I'm going to go back to the blind test.
Just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for.
And what I'll do to simplify this test, I know we're doing a lot here, guys, but trying to show you guys, when you do blind test, it takes out the bias. So we're going to turn off the plugin for all the channels that we're not using. This should narrow our things. If not, then we'll just, let me see if I turn these off here. I might have to remove the plugin. We'll see. I'm not sure how this works. Open this back up. So it still shows the channels. So what I'll do is I'll completely remove the plugin from each channel. Now, again, the reason I'm doing this is because I want to only test 6 versus 6C to make sure that my ear is hearing a universally good change versus just a song by song good change. So I'm only testing the control versus the variable here. So now when we open this up, we should have two options. And what I'm going to do is do a blind test so we can't see anything in the mixer. And my ear should be able to detect which one sounds better based off of this song here. So I'll let it rock a little bit just to hear how it performs across the whole song.
Want you to stay. Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. The homie saw the 8 ball. Just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for. Just to get by. When you maxed out your credit, already hit the limit, and you can't keep spending. Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. When you can't stop spinning and the world stops spinning and your girl stops grinning. Just to get by. When your friends keep calling but you really ain't ballin', so you just wanna call it. Just to get by. When parlays ain't hitting and your stocks keep dipping but you smile like you winning. Just to get by. When they hate new religion, cheers to the new beginning and celebrate your ending. Just to get by. Just to get by, 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 just to get by.
All right, so to my ear, there was a clear, louder version. So let's show the tracks and let's make sure that is the variable that I programmed, and my ear heard the difference. It's a very obvious difference. It takes up the upper mids and it just lifts the volume up. There is somewhat of a trade-off in terms of clarity, but it's so subtle that the loudness compensates for that difference. And I can say that that is better in that case. So let's do it one more time to make sure it's not just me getting used to the track. So again, I'm gonna let it run.
Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. The homie saw the 8 ball. Just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for. Just to get by. When you maxed out your credit, already hit the limit, and you can't keep spending. Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. When you can't stop spinning and the world stops spinning and your girl stops grinning. Just to get by. When your friends keep calling but you really ain't ballin', so you just wanna call it. Just to get by. When parlays ain't hitting and your stocks keep dipping but you smile like you winning. Just to get by. When they hate new religion, cheers to the new beginning and celebrate your ending. Just to get by. just to get by, 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 just to get by.
So I can clearly hear a difference between version 6 and 6C. Now what I'm going to do is take my time offline to tighten up the dynamics so we don't lose that transient and just find that sweet spot in the plugin. So I'm just showing you guys my process on making sure that I'm truly building a difference. And one more thing we should test is version the 6.1 that we took off. So we should also check that change to see if it was just a song by song thing, because it could have been just a song by song thing. So let's add this on here and let's turn the plugin on, and we need another version of the song. Same clip gain. Let's do this. And we need this on channel, I believe 6. So that goes to, yeah, there. Okay, so now I should have 3 tracks to cycle between. All right, boom. And then now I'm gonna blind test all these to make sure that my ear prefers compression over the loud factor, because it might like the loudness on this song. So this is where I'm starting to look at the universal application, I guess is my point, instead of just song by song.
Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. The homie saw the 8 ball, just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for, just to get by. When you maxed out your credit, already hit the limit and you can't keep spending. Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. When you can't stop spinning and the world stops spinning and your girl stops grinning. Just to get by. When your friends keep calling but you really ain't ballin', so you just wanna call it. Just to get by. When parlays ain't hitting and your stocks keep dipping but you smile like you winning. Just to get by. When they hate new religion, cheers to the new beginning and celebrate your ending. Just to get by. Just to get by, 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 just to get by.
My ear now, even myself, I'm being honest with you guys, these were a little more tricky. I guess my ear got used to hearing the song, and now it was a harder, I could tell what was loud, but I can't tell which version this is. I can't tell if this is the failed version that we got rid of, or if this is the dynamic version that we have with the compressor.
Homie saw the 8 ball.
And what I'm listening for now is how it deals with that middle image.
Homie saw the 8 ball. Just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for. Just to get by. When you maxed out your credit, already hit the limit and you can't keep spending. Just to get by. 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 When you can't stop spinning and the world stops spinning and your girl stops grinning. Just to get by. When your friends keep calling but you really ain't ballin', so you just wanna call it. Just to get by. When parlays ain't hitting and your stocks keep dipping but you smile like you winning. Just to get by. When they hate new religion, cheers to the new beginning and celebrate your ending. Just to get by. Just to get by, 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 just to.
Let me run this back because now I'm testing. I know this one's 6, but the question is, do I like the width or do I like the controlled?
Homie saw the 8 ball.
Now I'm bouncing between those two.
So tell me what you waiting for. Just to get by. When you maxed out your credit, already hit the limit and you can't keep spending. Just to get by. 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 When you can't stop spinning and the world stops spinning and your girl stops grinning. Just to get by. When your friends keep calling but you really ain't ballin', so you just wanna call it. Just to get by. When parlays ain't hitting and your stocks keep dipping but you smile like you winning. Just to get by. When they hate new religion, cheers to the new beginning.
This is one of those things where the conundrum is not a technical thing, it's a vibe thing. I do like the vibe of the one I labeled 6B. It just feels more wide. There's something about width and dynamics on the side that just make something feel a little bit more vibey. And I like that sound. Even though we're sacrificing some of the technical clarity, it doesn't necessarily make it better to have everything super controlled.
Homie sold a 8 ball just to get by.
On this song.
Homie sold a 8 ball just to get by. So tell me what you waiting for just to get by. When you maxed out your credit, already hit the limit and you can't keep spending. Just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by, just to get by. When you can't stop spinning and the world stops spinning and your girl stops grinning. Just to get by. When your friends keep calling but you really ain't.
I'm gonna go ahead and say this version is the best for this song. And yeah, so guys, we're running into this conundrum where it's like some stuff sounds better with the technically pulled everything to the middle sound of that compressor. Some stuff sounds better with the wide version. And I'm liking the wide version now all over again. This is what I'm saying. This building a plugin is not this technical thing. Okay, I wanted to show you guys the real process. Let's even try this on one more song just to see, because we don't just want 2 results, we want at least 3. Now what we're going to do though is use an AI song, because AI has different characteristics than a human song. So let's run this through an AI song, or on an AI song I should say. Make sure this is the right one. Okay, yeah, so this one's a little more noisy. Okay, so what we're going to do is clip this down. Let's do about 10 dB. We're going to run it through channel 1, duplicate it, run it through channel 6, and then 7. So this will be our final decider if I like the width or if I like the technical approach with the compressor. So again, that's why initially I didn't have the compressor turned on, because I felt like a compressor is more of a personal decision song by song. It's not some universally applied thing all the time. All right, like other services that kind of force a compressor on your song. Anyway, here is the same thing. Now we're going to test is just the AI song. Now it needs a little more headroom, so let's fix that.
Feeling that is never risen up. 1 in a million. You're so unique, you're from me.
So it's 20 dB of headroom, okay? So yeah, I'm definitely going to need a feature or some kind of guide on how to turn your stuff. Like basically make sure it's the right volume going into the plugin, so you guys don't overly process. All right, so now let's shuffle these so I don't know which is which. I can already tell this is version 6 because it doesn't have any width to it.
You're so unique, you're from me.
Actually, that might have just been it. That might have been the song itself.
Feel you through every single touch. Just in your pen, writing my love story ever much. Deep in my skin. Feeling that.
Now it's harder because we have different harmonics, we have different sounds, we have more squarey sounds here, we have more, you know, sawtooth sounds. So now it's hard to tell the harmonics because now they're all filled. So this is what I'm saying. These blind tests help me to take away my bias temporarily so I can judge based on what do I feel, not just what is technically correct.
Feeling that has never risen up. 1 in a million. You're so unique, you're from me. Touching my skin. Feel you through every single touch. Just in your pen, writing my love story ever much.
This one feels like the controlled one.
My skin.
This is to my ear. Version C. The way it handles the middle. This one feels loud and wide.
You're so unique, you fill me touching my skin.
So this area helps me a little bit, that whatever we were just, oh, let me find it. This area right here, because now I can hear the gaps in the groove. Okay, so we're still not looking at the plugins. Unfortunately, I clicked out the mixer, so I'm gonna blur my eyes. I'm not looking at anything. Doesn't even matter because there's no signal anyway. All right, so there we go. Another way to arrow through these is this arrow. What I'm gonna do is close my eyes and just lean into the kick. That's what I'm doing in my head. I'm leaning into the kick so I can feel the energy off the width. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what I'm doing here. I'm gonna turn up the volume too. This one feels wider. So in my ear, this feels like the 6B version. Let's open this up. So yeah, my ear definitely can feel the width. So now my ear is preferring the wider sound over the compressed sound. So it just shows this is how much back and forthness goes into building a plugin. And I was correct about version 6 being version 6. So I'm actually preferring the one that we said failed the last time. So because it wins more consistently over just that one song experience. So I'm finding that more of a vibe, more of a connection, more of a resonance on this one. So that will be the version and the settings that I use when I ship this thing. And again, we're going to keep testing against this as the new control. All right, so that is my process. I just wanted to show you guys. I know this video is long, but we are very tricked in our society with meters and like UI and all this type of stuff that really doesn't change the sound. If I turn off all these things, like, can you tell the sound? And just as a quick little thing, let's open up Ozone just to show you guys what I'm talking about. Now this is Ozone 11. They have Ozone 12 out by now. So I don't have 12. I only have version 11. So what we're going to do is do it on an AI song. I found that AI songs tend to work better for Ozone for some reason. And not the human songs. So what we're going to do is run this through Ozone just to show you guys the difference in quality here. So let's make this unique. Send this to track 8, same headroom, same everything. Okay. And now let's go into Ozone. We're going to add the Hoffa plugin. Hoffa, where you at? Hoffa. All right. And another thing I want to do is take out version C because we already marked that as not, it just didn't win the test. And let's take out version 6 because we want to test against our best. Okay. So now here we have 6B versus Ozone, basically. Okay. So Hoffa should have 2 things. Okay. So what we're going to do first is let Ozone listen to this song. And then, whoa. Okay. That is very loud. How's that? Oh, I'm such an idiot. Forgot to add the Hoffa plugin. Duh. Oh, you know what? See. Okay. Forgot to just mute this channel. That's why. So we don't need the Hoffa plugin. We just need to mute it. Okay. All right, y'all. So now let's mute all these, turn them down. So nothing, we shouldn't get any signal through those. All right. So now all we have is the 6B and Ozone. So for Ozone, we need to actually have Ozone work. So the way this works is firstly, we need to solo Ozone, the channel. Here's the before. So this is before the volume increase. And then we're going to run it into Ozone, same headroom. To be fair, we can't just turn up our track and then run to Ozone. We have to give it the same exact starting point. So we're going to run this auto mastering feature and let it do its thing. I'm not going to change any settings. Okay. Just going to let it just do whatever it has to do. Now it does take longer than our AI master. That's for sure. So they went very bright with their mix, like super bright, almost piercingly bright on this one. All right, so like I said, you guys will be shocked at the quality difference between our plugins and the world's top plugins. Ozone is deemed the world's top mastering company. All right, now what we're gonna do is play a section of the song that's very jumpy so we can hear the dynamics. And let's click shuffle. So the one at the top to my ear sounds thin. The one at the bottom sounds dynamic. It has way more bass and it's wider in my ear. So here's the thin one, in my opinion. All right, so let's see which track is which. All right, so the BusyWorks Beats 6B beat out the Ozone, in my opinion. The Ozone one sounded very thin. It just didn't have life to it. Our version had bass, it had dynamic, it had width to it. So this is what I'm saying, guys, is when you see our plugin put directly next to the world's leading plugins, then you could really hear the difference. And I didn't make this whole video about another company. I just wanted to show you how I improve my plugins. But then at the end, I want to show you why these improvements matter, because when you pit it against the world's top plugins, it's night and day. I want to thank you guys for watching. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. Peace out, guys. And go to BusyWorksBeats.com/AI mastering, and you guys will find version 5. Version 6 will probably be out by the end of the week. I still have to do fine tweaks, so let's just give it till the end of the week for version 6. All right, y'all? Peace out. I also meant to add that version 6 will be a free update for people with the older version. So keep checking your emails because I send out update emails all the time. All right, y'all? Peace.